Welcome to our deep dive today. We're diving into some pretty fascinating stuff happening in AI and medicine.
Oh, yeah.
You gave us this research about Baichuan-M1. It's a large language model.
Right.
But here's the thing. It's designed just for medical applications.
That's right. And, it's a big deal because most of the large language models that we kind of heard about out in the world are like, those friends we have that are good at a lot of things,
Yeah.
but not necessarily a master of any.
Right.
This is different. This is like that friend who knew from day one they wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
And every experience, every bit of knowledge they gathered was laser focused on that goal.
So a specialist, not a generalist.
Exactly.
Got it. But why is that so important when it comes to AI in medicine?
Well, think about the language of medicine.
Yeah.
It's so complex.
Oh, yeah.
Full of jargon and nuances that could easily trip up a generalist AI.
Right.
Plus, medical knowledge is always evolving.
Right.
So the AI needs to keep up with the latest research.
Constantly learning new stuff.
Absolutely.
It's like expecting that friend who's, messing around designing websites to all of a sudden perform brain surgery.
Exactly. The stakes are just way higher in medicine.
Yeah.
That's why the researchers behind this decided to train this from scratch.
Okay.
Focused only on medicine.
Interesting.
They wanted to create an AI that could truly understand, all the complexity.
So they had the right focus. They knew what they wanted to do. But how do you even begin to teach an AI about medicine?
Right.
I mean, did they just hand it a stack of textbooks and say, good luck?
Not quite. They went way beyond textbooks. They trained this on a massive amount of data. We're talking 20 trillion tokens.
Whoa.
To give you an idea of scale, that's like feeding the AI every medical textbook ever written, plus all the research papers, clinical notes, even patient records they could get their hands on.
20 trillion. That's just mind-boggling.
It's a lot.
But with all that information, how do you make sure the AI is actually learning and not just spitting out random medical facts?
That's where the rigorous filtering process comes in.
Okay.
They were incredibly selective about the data they used, making sure it was accurate, up-to-date, and really relevant to the AI's training goals.
So they weren't just throwing any old medical information at it.
No.
It was a very specific diet for this AI.
Precisely. They even went a step further and used a technique called upsampling.
Upsampling.
Yeah, essentially, they made sure that the AI saw plenty of examples of rare diseases and complex cases, so it wouldn't just be good at diagnosing the common cold.
It's like making sure that the AI gets, experience in every specialty, not just general practice.
Exactly. They wanted to make sure this AI could handle even the toughest medical challenges.
That's impressive, but going from processing, mountains of data to actually understanding medicine
Right.
seems like a huge leap.
Yeah.
How do they bridge that gap?
Well, they designed this 3-stage training process.
Okay.
And what's really fascinating is it kind of mirrors the way a human doctor learns and develops expertise.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Break it down for me. What happens in each stage?
In stage 1, they start by feeding the AI more general information, gradually introducing it to the complexities of medical language and concepts.
Okay.
It's like the pre-med years of college building a solid foundation.
Got it. So stage 2, does the AI start dissecting virtual frogs?
Not quite, but it does get a lot more challenging.
Okay.
In stage 2, they expose the AI to increasingly difficult medical data, like complex research papers and detailed clinical notes.
Okay.
Think of it like the AI going through medical school learning from the experts.
So the AI is moving from textbooks to the real-world complexities of medical practice.
That's right. And finally, stage 3 is all about refining the AI's skills and knowledge. They call it annealing, and it involves exposing the AI to the most challenging real-world medical cases they could find.
So it's like the AI is doing its residency, working long hours in the digital equivalent of a busy hospital.
You could say that stage 3 is about taking all that knowledge and putting it to the test in realistic scenarios.
That's a pretty intense training program for an AI.
Yeah.
There's one thing I'm still curious about, though. This research mentions something called synthetic data.
Yes.
What is that exactly, and why is it so important in the training process?
That's a great question and a crucial part of their approach.
Okay.
They realized that relying solely on real-world medical data had some limitations.
Okay.
It can be messy, incomplete, and sometimes hard to access due to privacy concerns.
Yeah, patient confidentiality.
Exactly.
Yes, that's-
So how do you get around that? Well, they got creative and generated over 100 billion tokens of synthetic data to fill in the gaps and create a more comprehensive training environment.
Hold on, are we talking about fake medical data?
Well, synthetic is a better word.
Okay.
It's not about replacing real patient data, but rather augmenting it.
Okay.
Think of it like a flight simulator for medical AI.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that could be useful.
Yeah.
But what kind of synthetic data did they create?
They created several types, each designed to target specific aspects of medical knowledge.
Okay.
Some of it mimicked textbooks, laying out medical concepts and procedures in a clear, structured way.
So giving the AI a solid textbook foundation.
Exactly. And they also created synthetic data that simulated patient cases complete with symptoms, diagnoses, and even a doctor's reasoning process.
Wait, the AI can think like a doctor?
Yeah.
That's wild. Can you give me an example?
Absolutely. In Appendix B of the paper, there's a fascinating example where the synthetic data walks through a doctor's thought process for a complicated case.
Wow.
It lists the symptoms, considers potential diagnoses, weighs the evidence. It's remarkably detailed and insightful.
So they basically created a virtual mentor for the AI to learn from.
You could say that the synthetic data allowed them to expose the AI to a wider range of medical scenarios than would be possible with real-world data alone.
Okay, so they've got this AI trained on mountains of real and synthetic data. How do they know if it actually works?
Right.
How do you test an AI doctor?
Well, they put it through a series of rigorous tests
Okay.
designed to evaluate its performance at 3 different levels of medical capability,
Okay.
fundamentals examinations, and real-world practice.
So it's like starting with pop quizzes, then moving on to board exams, and finally letting the AI see real patients.
A perfect analogy for the fundamentals, they tested the AI's knowledge of basic medical concepts and terminology.
Makes sense.
Then for the examinations, they used established medical benchmarks like the USMLE.
USMLE, that's the big one.
Yeah.
That's the exam doctors in the U.S. have to pass to get their license.
Exactly. If an AI can score well in the USMLE, it's got a serious grasp of medicine.
So how did this AI do on these tests? Was it a star student, or did it need to be sent back to cram for the boards?
Well, the results were truly impressive. It outperformed one of the strongest open source LLMs out there.
Wow.
Quen 2.572b instruct in almost every medical benchmark,
Okay.
aced its virtual exams.
That's a major victory, but how does it stack up against those big-name proprietary models like Claude or GPT-4?
Right.
Is it in the same league?
Well, it's not quite at their level yet.
Okay.
It's closing the gap fast, and that's really significant considering that this is specifically focused on medicine.
Right. It's playing a different game.
It is. It is.
It's like comparing a specialist to a general practitioner.
Exactly.
They both have medical knowledge, but their expertise lies in different areas.
Precisely. And the researchers believe that by training a medical LLM from scratch rather than adapting a general one, they might ultimately create a more powerful and accurate model.
So they're betting on the specialist over the generalist.
They are.
Interesting, but what exactly makes this approach so promising?
Well, by designing the model specifically for medical language and knowledge,
Uh-huh.
they can create a deeper understanding of those complex concepts and relationships.
Okay.
It's like building a tool that's perfectly tailored to the task at hand.
It's like having a scalpel instead of a Swiss Army knife when you need to perform surgery.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Now, the paper also included a table of results. Was there anything in there that particularly stood out to you?
Absolutely. In particular, it excelled in areas like medical calculation and understanding complex clinical scenarios. For example, it achieved a remarkable score on the MedCalc benchmark.
The BedCalc benchmark, what does that measure?
It evaluates the model's ability to process numerical data within a medical context.
Okay.
Think about all the calculations doctors have to make: drug dosages, interpreting lab results, assessing risk factors. It's a critical skill.
Absolutely. A small miscalculation in medicine can have huge consequences.
Right.
So the fact that this aced that is very encouraging.
Very encouraging. And on another benchmark, CMB-CLIN, which focuses on real-world clinical consultations in Chinese,
Okay.
it demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of patient symptoms, medical history, and treatment options.
So this AI could potentially help doctors in both diagnosis and treatment planning,
Potentially, yes.
even in different languages?
It's certainly moving in that direction, and that's really exciting, but the researchers are also very clear that there's still work to be done, particularly when it comes to rare diseases.
That makes sense. Rare diseases often have really subtle symptoms and can easily be missed or misdiagnosed,
Right.
even by experienced doctors.
Exactly, and that's where the limitations of even the largest datasets come in.
Yeah.
You can only train an AI on the information it's exposed to.
So even an AI doctor needs to keep learning and expanding its knowledge base.
Absolutely, but overall, the progress here is incredible.
Yeah.
It really does make you wonder if training a medical LLM from scratch, like they did with this, is the best way forward.
It's a fascinating debate in the AI community, isn't it?
It is.
You know, the traditional approach has been to take a general LLM and then fine-tune it for medical applications.
Right. It's like taking a doctor who has a general medical degree and then sending them to specialize in a particular field.
But this research suggests that maybe starting with a specialist from the very beginning could lead to even better results.
Exactly. And it raises a lot of interesting questions about how we develop and train AI in the future, not just in medicine, but in other fields as well.
It's definitely a lot to think about.
It is.
So before we move on, I want to make sure we've connected all of this incredible information back to you, our listener.
Yes.
This might seem like cutting-edge research happening in labs, but it has the potential to impact your life in a very real way.
Absolutely. Imagine a world where AI can help doctors catch early signs of disease,
Yeah.
personalize treatments based on your unique genetic makeup, and even predict potential health risks before they become a problem.
That sounds like something out of science fiction.
I know, but it might be closer than we think.
Yeah.
And this is a powerful example of how AI is starting to move beyond the realm of research and into the real world,
Right.
with the potential to revolutionize healthcare as we know it.
So what do you think, listener? Are you ready for an AI doctor to be part of your healthcare team?
An interesting question.
We'll delve deeper into those possibilities in the next part of our deep dive. It's pretty mind-blowing to think that we could be on the verge of having AI doctors as part of our healthcare team. But before we get too carried away with the possibilities, let's bring it back to Baichuan-M1.
Right.
What are the researchers saying about its current limitations?
Right.
You mentioned rare diseases earlier.
Right. That's definitely one area where more work needs to be done, even with a massive data set. There's only so much information available on rare diseases,
Yeah.
which makes it challenging to train an AI to accurately, diagnose and treat them.
It's like trying to learn a language that's only spoken by a handful of people.
Exactly.
You need a lot of exposure to become fluent.
You do.
But are the researchers exploring ways to overcome this limitation?
Oh, absolutely.
How so?
They're developing new techniques for generating synthetic data that accurately represents the complexities of rare diseases.
So they're trying to create more diverse and robust training environments for the AI.
Exactly.
Makes sense, but even if they can tackle the rare disease challenge, are there other hurdles that this AI needs to clear before it can truly be integrated into healthcare systems?
Well, one important aspect they're focusing on is refining the AI's ability to explain its reasoning.
Okay.
Imagine you're a doctor relying on an AI's diagnosis.
Yeah.
You need to understand how it arrived at that conclusion, not just take it at face value.
Right. You need to be able to trust the AI's judgment.
Exactly.
And that trust comes from transparency.
Exactly. So the researchers are working on developing methods that allow the AI to articulate its thought process in a way that's understandable to human doctors.
So it's like having the AI provide a detailed case report,
Yes.
explaining the evidence it considered and the logic that it used.
Exactly.
That's a crucial step in building trust and ensuring that AI is used responsibly in medicine.
It is.
But even with all these advancements, some people might still feel hesitant about having an AI involved in their healthcare.
Oh, absolutely. Change can be daunting, especially when it comes to something as personal as healthcare.
Totally.
But it's important to remember that AI isn't meant to replace doctors.
It's more about giving doctors a powerful new tool to enhance their abilities
Right.
and ultimately provide better care for patients.
Exactly. Think of it like this Baichuan-M1 could help doctors analyze massive amounts of data, identify subtle patterns,
Yeah.
and consider a wider range of diagnoses than a human doctor could possibly process on their own.
It's like having a superpowered consultant at your fingertips,
Right.
offering insights and recommendations based on the latest medical research and a vast database of patient cases.
Exactly. And by taking care of some of the more tedious and time-consuming tasks, AI could free up doctors to spend more time with their patients, building relationships, and providing personalized care.
So instead of replacing the human touch in medicine, AI could actually enhance it?
Yes, I think so.
That's a very different picture than what we often see in science fiction, where robots take over everything.
Yeah, and the researchers are very aware of the need to integrate AI into healthcare in a way that's ethical, responsible,
Yeah.
and patient-centered.
Which brings us back to the point we made earlier about transparency and explainability.
Right.
Patients need to understand how AI is being used in their care and feel comfortable asking questions.
Absolutely. It's a collaborative effort, doctors, patients, and AI working together to achieve the best possible health outcomes.
Now, all of this talk about AI in medicine is incredibly exciting, but I know some of our listeners might be wondering how this research impacts them directly.
Yeah.
After all, this isn't available at your local clinic just yet.
That's true. It's still in the research phase, but even at this stage, it offers a glimpse into a future where AI could dramatically transform our healthcare experiences.
So what are some of those potential real-world applications that our listeners can look forward to?
Sure.
Paint us a picture of what this future might look like.
Imagine the world where you go to the doctor for a checkup and the AI has already analyzed your medical history, genetic data, and lifestyle factors to identify potential risks and recommend preventative measures.
It's like having a personalized health advisor,
Exactly.
tailoring recommendations to your unique needs.
Right. Or imagine an AI-powered system that can analyze medical images like X-rays or CT scan with incredible accuracy, helping doctors catch early signs of disease that might be missed by the human eye.
That could be life-saving,
Yeah.
especially for conditions like cancer where early detection is so crucial.
Absolutely. And think about drug development AI could analyze massive data sets to identify promising new drug candidates, speeding up the research process and potentially leading to cures for diseases that currently have no effective treatments.
That would be revolutionary. So while this might not be treating patients directly today, the research behind it is laying the groundwork for a future where AI plays a vital role in improving our health and well-being.
I think so.
As this technology continues to develop, it's crucial that we have these open and honest conversations about its potential benefits and challenges.
We do.
We need to ensure that AI is used responsibly and ethically, always prioritizing patient safety and well-being.
Absolutely. And it's a conversation that everyone should be a part of, not just scientists and doctors. After all, the future of healthcare affects us all.
So listener, what are your thoughts on all of this? Are you excited about the possibilities of AI in medicine? Do you have concerns?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your perspective.
These are complex issues with no easy answers, but by discussing them openly and thoughtfully, we can shape a future where AI enhances healthcare for everyone.
Well said. And with that, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of Baichuan-M1. But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question.
Always love a good brain teaser.
We've talked a lot about how AI could change the way doctors practice medicine.
Right.
But what about the other side of the equation? How could AI empower patients to take more control of their own health?
That's a fantastic question, and one that deserves a deep dive all its own.
Yeah, it is a really interesting question, isn't it?
It is.
We always think about it from the doctor's perspective,
Right.
but the patient has such an important role in all this too.
Absolutely. And AI has the potential to give patients so much more control than they've ever had before.
So listener, imagine this. You're at home, you're not feeling great,
Yeah.
but instead of immediately calling the doctor or scheduling an appointment, you open up an app on your phone,
Okay.
and it's AI powered, and it can analyze your symptoms.
Interesting.
So it asks you questions, kind of like a doctor would, but
Right.
it uses all of its incredible medical knowledge to maybe give you some ideas about what's going on.
Oh, wow. So it's like having a virtual triage nurse.
Right in your pocket,
Right there with you.
guiding you to, do you need to go to the doctor? Is this something you can take care of at home?
Exactly.
And if the AI thinks you need to see a doctor, it can even help you find the right specialist.
Wow, that's helpful.
Like in your area, takes all the guesswork out of it.
That would be amazing.
And it could even take your medical history
Yeah.
and all your current symptoms and put it into a nice report for you to take to the doctor,
That's a great idea.
saving you time and making sure the doctor has everything they need.
Exactly.
Let's say you're wearing, like a smartwatch or some kind of fitness tracker.
Right.
That's monitoring all your vital signs.
Uh-huh.
And AI is analyzing that data,
Okay.
and it can detect tiny little changes that might be a sign of a problem.
So it's like a 24/7 health guardian.
looking out for you,
Making sure you're okay.
and all that data could be sent right to your doctor.
Oh, wow.
So they can monitor your health
Mm-hmm.
and, adjust your treatment if they need to.
So instead of waiting for things to get really bad,
Right.
we're preventing them from happening in the first place.
Exactly. We're staying ahead of the curve.
That's amazing.
And AI could be the thing that makes that
I
possible.
love that idea.
It really puts so much more power in the patient's hands.
It does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a very empowering vision of the future.
But it's not just about individual health.
Right.
AI could be huge for public health, too.
Oh, absolutely.
How?
Well, imagine AI system that analyze data from social media news reports, even weather patterns,
Wow.
to predict and track the spread of infectious diseases.
So, like, they can see an outbreak coming
Yeah,
before it even happens,
exactly. And that could help public health officials respond so much faster.
potentially saving so many lives.
Absolutely.
And by analyzing all that patient data,
Uh-huh.
AI could also help researchers, identify trends
Yeah.
that could lead to new breakthroughs in disease prevention and treatment.
It's not just about helping individuals, it's about helping all of humanity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So much potential.
There is.
It's exciting to think about.
It is.
But as with anything so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
we have to be thoughtful and responsible.
Absolutely. We've said it before, but it's worth repeating. AI is a tool.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure it's used ethically.
Right.
We can't let it replace human expertise, but use it to make things better for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And these conversations about the ethics of AI in healthcare
Mm-hmm.
need to include everyone,
Everyone.
not just the scientists and doctors.
Exactly. Patients, researchers, policymakers, everybody needs to have a voice.
So, listener, we've come to the end of our deep dive today.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want you to think about the future of healthcare
Uh-huh.
and how you see AI fitting into it.
What are your hopes? What are you worried about? What does a healthier future look like to you?
These are big questions.
They are.
And ones we need to keep asking ourselves
Absolutely.
as we go further into this exciting new world of AI-powered medicine.
I'm so glad we got to explore this together today.
Me too. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Baichuan-M1 and the amazing potential of AI in healthcare. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.